basic backyard birds. And I think you know most of this already if you've been feeding a while. If you're new and have just started it, you may learn a few things, but that's how we started out. Well, I think I pulled out 30.
Hey Lynn, let's look real quick. Who did not get a booklet? So we know how many to print off. One, two.
I've got one.
Oh, you do have one. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So okay. Thank you. We'll get them to you. We're working on them right now.
Thank you. So goodness, anyway, this is kind of a starter review for, if you've been feeding birds a while, you know most of this. If you're just kind of getting into it, this may help you even more. We'll start out obviously with the Carolina chickadee. If you're from the north and have just moved here, you may say, well, no, that's a black-capped chickadee. No, there's two different species. We do have black-capped species in our area, but they're to the top of the Smokies. So you have to, if you go to the Newfound Gap, and that road's closed now. We already did it. It is? Okay, if you go to Newfound Gap now and see a bird that looks like that, that's a black-capped chickadee. Their two ranges don't really match or meet up, and the only way you can really tell them apart easily is their song's a little different, but if I had one in each hand, the black-cap is a little chunkier because it lives in colder climates. So it's a black-capped chickadee, and my goodness, you know when you got your feeders out and you got your sunflower seeds out, the black-caps are coming and going, the Carolina chickadees are coming and going, These guys are right there with them. This is the tufted titmouse. They are related to each other, and they both they understand each other's talk, and they will come and go too. They're scatter hoarders just like the chickadee, although the chickadee will hide more seed. So if you're wondering where these two, where are they taking all those seeds? They're hiding them for winter. So that's the titmouse. And this bird is this is the white-breasted nuthatch, fairly easy to identify from a distance. They can walk down the tree. If you're seeing a bird walking down a tree or even hanging upside down, that's a nuthatch. White-breasted nuthatch is the common one. There is a couple other species that's in the area that you might get. One would be the round-headed nuthatch. You know, there's the red-breasted nuthatch, but those are very few and far between. This is the common one. I was watching them this morning. Like half the room here, I'm sure. I have my morning coffee, watching the census out, and I had a lot of activity. Right now I've got a seed feeder, a suet feeder, and the hummingbirds are coming and going. Next. Oh, Mr. Carolina Wren. Weedle. These guys, they own your house. Every house comes with a pair of Carolina Wrens. And it's the wren with the white stripe over its eye. They do mate for life, but don't stay together the entire time. One may be on the east side of the house, and one may be on the west side of the house, but they're circling the house. They don't really get back together as a couple until February. So that's a Carolina Wren. And some of you may have instead a house wren. When I started doing talks decades ago, house wrens are really more found in Tri-Cities than here. But their range has expanded down into the valley. So I have friends that just have a house wren and not a Carolina wren. So it's possible they lack the stripe above the eye. Mourning doves, so called because they seem to be in mourning. Oh, the poor things. Anyway, pair of mourning doves, hard to tell them apart. They're ground feeders. If you really want to attract them, you spread some seeds on your deck or patio or railing. They feed on the ground. They don't even think about looking up. So they're ground feeders.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, they'll look for food where they can find it. They're a bird, they're hungry. Anyway, they're still raising young ones. These guys love a family. They can produce 6 broods a year.
Wow.
So when they get started in February, it's like, okay, let's get going. So that's the mourning dove, related to the pigeons, of course. And that group, the pigeons are the ones that are larger, and the doves are the ones that are a little smaller. So they're related to pigeons. Who's next? Oh, everybody's favorite, the cardinal. We got the male on the right, the female on the left. start nesting February and into March, but it's fairly easy to identify. They may still be feeding some young ones from a second or third brood. Most birds do 1 brood or 2 broods, but a few do 3 broods. And the mourning doves just can't stop. They take a month off for Christmas and say, okay, because she's saying, I am sick of laying eggs. Believe it or not, it is possible in our area. This photograph came from Rome County and sent to me by Catherine, a friend of mine, a birdwatching person. It is possible to see a yellow cardinal. It's kind of a new happening. We don't know what's going on, but they've been spotted in various states. It's possible that you could look out one day and see a yellow cardinal. If you do, call your friends. Your house will be full of people. So they're out there, but not in huge numbers. But it may be a phenomenon that's growing.
Is it a variety or an aberration?
No, there's numerous, it's happening in numerous locations far apart. It's happening in Florida, I mean, it's a widespread. And the closest to here that I've heard is Rome County, and it stayed with her a couple of years. So don't be shocked. Just call your friends and invite them over.
Get video.
Just come on over, anyway. Who's next? I threw this one in. This is the one migratory bird in the spring. It's related to cardinals with that big bill that crunch seeds. You may get rose-breasted grosbeaks in the spring. They usually hang out at my feeders for about 2-3 weeks. Males come first. That's the way migration works. Males come first to claim turf, and then the females follow shortly thereafter to pick out the male with the best turf. Anyway, but it's possible, and I'm guessing here April. You may look out and say, oh my God, what is that gorgeous bird? And you'll have it probably for a couple of weeks. House finch, I'm sure you have house finches. This was not a native finch. This finch was originally captured in the West and brought to this side of the country and sold in pet stores. They were sold as Hollywood finches. When you want a Hollywood finch?
Oh, come on.
Yes. Anyway, that was made very illegal in 1940. Can no longer do that. And so all the pet store owners just opened their cages and they flew away. Now they're doing very well. So it's house finch. Male has red. It looks the books say it looks like a cherry pie blew up in his face. And the female will be nearby or bouncing around. She's kind of streaky like any sparrow, but that's a house finch. And the word finch tells you seed eater. All finches are seed eaters, seed eaters, seed eaters. So that's your house finch. And then if you be lucky, in the winter you might get a purple finch, which is another one of the red finches. What, is that purple? No. They didn't call me. I would have called it raspberry finch. That's raspberry. Anyway, they didn't. That's not purple, but anyway, you may have these in the wintertime. So you can look out and see 2 red finches that are really very, very different. And the purple finch just really has more red all over it, all the way to the back and down its flanks primarily. So that's purple finch. It's possible you'll get them in the wintertime. This is one of the birds you go, oh, I hope I get it in the wintertime. When all the migration's going on and birds are looking for places with food. Who's next? Goldfinch, that's the other finch. I watched one yesterday morning just going crazy on sunflower seeds. So that's a goldfinch and a female on the right. Males have the little black caps. This is a bird, historically, we only had them in wintertime when they look like this. Kind of yellowish but drab, but over the course of a couple of decades, I've been doing this for a couple of decades or 3 or 4 decades, they start hanging around, and now they're here year round. Because like I said, I had a male yesterday at my feeder, so that's goldfinch. Is absolutely gorgeous bird. Who's next? Of the ones on the list, this may be the one I am most worried about. It's the eastern phoebe. Gets its name from its call, phoebe. It's a namesayer. It's primarily an insect eater. It's in the flycatcher family, but most flycatcher species we have around us in the summer, they migrate out because we don't have a lot of insects in the wintertime. But the phoebe hangs in here. So it's possible you'll get them. They like to hang around houses because, and they're here year round. They love to build their nest on the top of some substrate like an outdoor light or something like that on your house. So it's possible you'll have them, and possible they'll nest with you, but I don't see them that often. And I think we all know by now, but insects are dropping in numbers. Get rid of your pesticides. A lot of things eat those bugs. But another way of identifying a phoebe, other than the phoebe, they're tail bobbers. Bob that tail. And from what, as I understand it, insect eaters like to do it because it spooks. If there's a bug sitting there and you flick your tail, the bug may fly away and you'll grab it. So, but several birds you'll watch are tail flickers, and that's why they probably do it. You know, you set a bird down and you ask him these questions, they're not going to give you their secrets. You figure out why I bobbed my tail. I'm not going to tell you. Anyway, that's an eastern phoebe. I see less and less and less of those as time goes on. So I'm worried about this because they do eat insects, and we don't have a lot of insects in the wintertime. Gorgeous, gorgeous. These are the police of the backyard. They'll pop into the area, and they look around, making sure everything's going okay. The other birds go, gee, look how gorgeous that guy is. That's a blue jay. I love them. They come and go around you. Mostly, a lot of birds come to you for your bird baths. Keep your bird baths clean. They may not be seed eaters, they may be insect eaters, or they may eat caterpillars, but they want your water, particularly this summer when we had that long stretch of dry 100 degrees. Geez, I had even robins coming in my bird baths. And now I'm talking about bird baths. My favorite bird bathing, and I know I should not be watching, that makes me familiar, is a titmouse. They are bodacious bathers. When they jump into that bird bath, other birds kind of dip in and dip, but not a titmouse. They go full bore. But anyway, I digress. That's a blue jay. And I think you easily know how to identify a blue jay. There are also corvids, C-O-R. That is the group that we now know is the smartest. That would include ravens, crows, jays, and magpies. We don't have any magpies here. But of those three, those are considered our smartest. They will make tools if they need it. They will mourn the dead if they pass. They're incredible group of birds. My new book has a whole chapter about ravens, why they only live at the top of the mountains. But anyway, move on. That's blue jay. I'm checking our time. We're doing great. If you have a bluebird box, pat yourself on the back. This is a bird. I mean, these, you know, a bluebird. When you see it, it's a bluebird. In the 1920s, they were considered rare. And it was because they naturally nest in an old woodpecker hole. Before our boxes, that's where they naturally would nest. But in the we were cutting, and woodpecker holes are in dead trees or dead branches. It makes it easier for the woodpecker to chisel it out. But in 1929, we invented the chainsaw. So it was easier to go out in your backyard and cut down a dead tree or two for your firewood. You needed firewood, so there. But these guys really started losing their natural home. And there was a man in Quincy, Illinois, named Thomas Musselman. After he retired, and he was a bird person, so he knew what was going on. He started making and selling and giving away bluebird boxes. And so that whole movement of putting up bluebird boxes spread across the east and finally down into Tennessee. So if you've got a box, yes, this is a time of year A male may claim the box already, even though they're not gonna nest until March. So, if you don't have a box, try to put one up somewhere. You wanna put it up where you can watch it. You wanna know what's going on, because other birds may wanna use it too. But anyway, that's a bluebird. So grassroots movement, conservation-hearted people save this species. I know now you go, what? I see them all the time. Yes, they're here, but they will be attracted to a bluebird box. Ruby-throated hummingbird. That's a male. They're still here. The old rule of thumb was put your feeders away Halloween, end of October. That was the old rule of thumb. That's a male. Here's a female. They love bee balm. Oh my goodness. In fact, the more flowers you have, the more hummingbirds you'll attract, because they really eat bugs. They can't live on just sugar water like me trying to live on just coffee all day long. I feel good, all of a sudden I just fall over. But anyway, but they're the only hummingbird that we have after November, unless you call Kristen. Last year she had a black chin hummingbird at her feeder in December. And how long did you stay there?
51 days.
Wow.
That's a black chin hummingbird. It was, she bounced. She asked me what is it? She had a photograph, and oh my God, that's a black chin. And I called in Mark Armstrong, who's the local hummingbird bander, and he's licensed to even ban wintering hummingbirds. And Mark came out there and verified and put it. So you'll know if it's your same one, it'll have a band.
I'm already.
And birds tend to be very loyal. So we may all be in Kristen's living room in December
You can come on
for a
back.
black chin hummingbird. Now typically the winter hummingbird that is here a little more often is a rufous hummingbird, and it's UT orange, so you can understand it. The only one I have personally ever seen was in Washington State. That's their normal range. But they sometimes show up here. That's a kind of a growing phenomena, a western species of hummingbirds that somehow end up here. There's about 6 different species, including the black chin. So,
There was another one other than Hugo in Blount County, the same.
yeah.
time.
Mark said it was the first one he had banded in Knox County, but he had banded one in Blount County down Princeton or something like that. So it's a phenomenon, maybe just starting, of having black, and it's really dark blue. So just keep that in mind. If you're at the end of October and you're pondering, put it away your feeder, don't. If it's freezing, bring it in and put it out in, because sugar water actually freezes at a lower temperature from just plain water.
They have heaters here too.
Do what?
They have heaters here too in the winter.
Yeah, we had to get them in for
Yeah.
Kristen.
Oh, good, see?
Yeah.
I can talk about birds. These good folks can talk about everything else you need to help your bird. So it's possible. It may be, we all may be in your living room looking at the black chin hummingbird. Anyway, move on. I think I included a couple of sparrows. This is the song sparrow. It's the one easiest to identify, and this one more than likely the closest to your home. They tend to be like the understory near water. So if you have that kind of habitat as your backyard, they tend to like understory thick near water. But it's the one sparrow. This is your basic typical sparrow. Make you nuts trying to identify them, but this one has got one singular black spot right in his chest, so it makes it easier. Plus, it's the one with the prettiest song. So you may actually hear it. The mnemonic is, Spades, 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 go bring in your teacup, little. And I am releasing an album on my bird song. Now you hold up your app with Merlin on it, and it'll tell you.
That's right.
So my big idea of an LP with bird song, anyway, it's way too late. But the other sparrow we do have in the winter, more likely at your feeders, feeding on the ground, is the white-throated sparrow. And they really come interesting in 2 different morphologies. The one on the left is black and white striped cap, and the one on the right is buff and brown stripes, so you have two different morphologies, but both are white-throated sparrows. Both have the white throat and the red, yellow spot in front of their eye. They will typically show up outside around end of October into November. So they're one of the first of the winter birds that come, and they're not shy, they'll be, but primarily on the ground. Anyway, that's the white-throated sparrow. The mnemonic for these guys is Poor Sam, Peabody, 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 Peabody. Poor Sam, Peabody, Peabody, Peabody. Okay. We're gonna go on America's Got Talent. You've heard some. Okay, come on. Another large sparrow, that doesn't look like any of the other sparrows, is the eastern towhee. I grew up calling it the rufous-sided towhee, but now we know there's two different towhees. There's spotted towhee and rufous-sided, and they will commingle. So now it's all under one, eastern towhee. But this is a shy bird. They feed on the ground in the understory, the shrubbery. And if you happen to see, and I get them popping up occasionally from that water, heated bird bath. They'll pop up wanting something to drink. But incredibly shy. The books say if you've got a towhee that presents itself to you, it trusts you. It totally believes you're okay. And so that's a towhee, and that's towhee. That's where the name comes from. It says its own name. So that's the male.
Seem to see them when it snows down on the ground.
Yeah, yeah. So
With
yeah.
the junk.
We're getting there. Anyway, yes, you do see them down on the ground feeding with the juncos. Anyway, this is the female towhee, brown on top and not black on top. As a general rule, and I think you probably already figured this out, female birds tend to be a little more muted in color, so they can hide on the nest at a leisure. Towhees really nest low to the ground. Male birds, they have to have a little more panache so they can attract the mate. It's that panache. The female cardinal looks for the brightest red male available because he's got panache. He's also eaten the best diet the year before. Anyway. Northern mockingbird, a Tennessee state bird. It's a mimic learner. It keeps adding song phrases. Most birds learn their basic. A chickadee knows chickadees after its first year, so they kind of can talk to other chickadees. But we have 3 mimic learners in the area that are always adding a new sound, a buzzsaw, a chainsaw, backfire from whatever. They're constantly learning, and they imitate other birds. So that's a northern cardinal. If you're listening to a long chain of song, and you can count the phrases, the northern mockingbird repeats each phrase roughly 3 or more times. So you can identify and even not see it. So northern mockingbird, it's always adding to its repertoire. The other mimic learner that's always adding is a brown thrasher. Kind of looks like a very tall thrush because it is tall and leggy. But it does same thing. It's constantly learning. As it ages, it's got a better playlist, a longer playlist. And for the brown thrasher, it tends to repeat each phrase twice. Chickadee, chickadee, whoop, whoop. So even if you can just count the number of phrases, you get a sense of what's going on. And then our final mimic learner, which is really only here in the summertime, is the catbird. Gray all over, it's got a gray cap on the top and a little bit of rufous on its backside. Anyway, this one is a mimic learner that always is adding, but it does basically one phrase at a time. So if you're listening and you hear a long chain of what in the world, kind of 3 times mockingbird, twice brown thrasher, and this guy just once, but occasionally this guy will throw in a meow.
Yeah.
So that's where the name comes from. Meow. Oh, that's the catbird. But they like to stay really hidden in shrubbery, You may hear them and never see them. They're really dense. So if your backyard habitat does have shrubs around it, or shrubs on one side, there's several birds that will be in hiding in the shrubs. Now we get to junco. This is another bird we only have in the wintertime. I grew up in Gatlinburg and learned these are snowbirds because it looked like they walk around in the snow and have cleaned their bellies off. So they're white, undercarriage is white, everything else is gray. They nest in the higher elevations of the Smokies, but they will come down slope, down slope, down slope. And oddly, I only see them when we've had a flick of snow. And it's typically late January, February, but I do see them. And I go, well, where are you been? So I don't know. They may be at you guys' house, but I only see them late in the season. But that's a dark-eyed junco. But again, if you go hiking, you will see them way up on the trails to Mount LeConte, wherever. They're much higher. Where are we at? Oh, we're doing fine. Anyway, how can I leave this boy out? Robin. How do I truncate? That's a good question. Anyway, this is a bird very much tied to a lawn. I rarely see robins because I don't have a lawn. I live in the woods. I have trees and understory and a deck that looks out over all of it. Occasionally they'll come in for water. Like during the past summer, and it was so hot out, I'd see a robin come in and take a little bath and drink and move off. So they would tell each other, psst, he's got water. But typically you'll see them. I have read that robins are one species that are doing well because we are growing a lot of lawns, and that's what they depend on, is short grass to roam around and look for worms. They eat worms, and the other bird gets the worm, that's the robin, because this meaning of that saying, early in the morning the ground is damper and cooler high, and so the worms are high. So when the sun bakes the ground, the worms go lower. So the early bird does get the worm. In this case, it is a robin bouncing around. This don't go there. Okay. These guys know I could probably do 2 hours. They got a store to run. I used to do 2 hours at times, and people would start scoring. Oh, we need a bathroom break. So let go. Anyway, who's next? This one I made a change of what the list is. I started thinking yesterday, when I was looking through the list and going through the program, I thought, indigo buntings are gorgeous, but they're just not quite near lawns easily. So I moved to the one that is always out there somewhere. In fact, I passed the flock going through my neighborhood. My neighbors have lawns. And there was a whole flock of starlings this morning. We all know the story. It's a non-native species. You can kill them if you want to, but the heck can kill them. No. I know. They make great pets. And it's perfectly legal to grab a starling and raise it in a cage. We were losing birds in the 1800s. This is a segue into our next topic next month. We were losing birds in the 1800s because we were shooting them off from target practice, and we'd walk out and grab a cardinal and put it in a cage if we could catch it. So we were caging birds, which is now very illegal, and shooting them, which is also very illegal. But some species, like you can have a pet starling, and they're incredibly vocal. I read a wonderful book called Mozart's Starling, and legend has it that the composer Mozart had a pet starling, and very legal, Amadeus, and Mozart would play, and the starling would mimic and sing it back to him. So we could hear, it was kind of the early version of a tape recorder, right here. So I read a book called Mozart's Starling. It's a wonderful book, but the author didn't have obviously much first-hand experience at raising starlings, so she went and got one. She found a nest and just snatched one of the young ones and put it in a cage and raised it, and found out, yes, they'll imitate anything. So that's a northern starling. There's a lot here, but I also have read recently that they peaked in numbers. Their high was 200 million, but now it's dropped down to like, I think, around 80 million. But this was a bird that was invited back to New York Central Park, because our European ancestors missed it. So they brought it back and it did pretty darn well. So this is why a bird box, why your bluebird box has a hole that's 1.5 inches, period. A starling can't squeeze through it or it would. So anyway, that's a European starling. What can I say? Okay, it's woodpecker time in Tennessee. Let's get into our woodpecker. Now I live in the woods, so I see all of these. This is our first one here is the downy. That's the more petite one. This is one of them. That's my hand. On the left, the little female downy flew into my screened-in porch, and I had to catch her and take her out and let her go. But I took a photo first. When am I going to have a downy woodpecker on my hand again? So anyway, that's the male. The male has a little spot of red on the back of his head. That's the only easy way of telling the male and female apart. Here's the next one up in size. This is the hairy woodpecker. It's got a much more, they'll tell you to look at the bill, it's got a much more noticeable woodpecker bill than the downy. The downy has a little bill and taps out little holes for its nest. But this is the hairy woodpecker. Supposedly got its name because the little feathers around the face look like hair. So I don't think I would have called it that. I would have called it slightly bigger than downy, but anyway. Again, they don't comment. I said, well, I've got my phone with them. If it rings, it may be. Somebody wants to know, what should we name this bird? Now, da-da-da-da! Miss Tiffany took this shot. When are you going to get a downy and a hairy on the same feeder? So it's easy to compare size. You really never see this, even though they come and go, and will come to your suet. They rarely pose for you like that. So Tiffany, I thought, wow. Anyway, that was taken by Tiffany, but it does give you, the hairy is significantly bigger, but size is not so easy to judge when you're looking at it. It's not, but boom, yes, downy hairy. So that's two species. And if you get the same photo, somebody go, wow. I'm like, well, thank you.
It's never happened again. So
No, once in a while, I'm doing a talk, the next Arboretum Zoom, which is in October, Halloween season, and I do monthly talks via Zoom for UT Arboretum. It's about the creepy stories of nature. And I was watching the same railing around my deck 2 weeks ago, and a cicada killer fell onto the railing, stinging and paralyzing a cicada. That was a once-in-a-lifetime photograph. I grabbed my phone and ran out there, but then it rolled off. But a cicada killer, it's a kind of wasp that catches the cicada, paralyzes it, doesn't kill it, paralyzes it, flies to the ground, digs a hole, stuffs the paralyzed cicada in the hole, and then lays its eggs on it. So when the eggs hatch, they get fresh food. They can't move. Whoa. Okay. That was a preview of things to go. Let's move on. I got 10 minutes, we'll finish. Red-bellied woodpecker, the male on the right has red all the way from the bill to the back. The female has it only on the back. And I like that photograph because it does show, I would have called it blush belly. That's not quite red. I would have said that's a blush bellied woodpecker. But anyway, very, very common. You'll see them every day at your feeders. They eat suet, they eat seeds, they might even sip on the sugar water if they could get to it. And then the big guy, that's the pileated woodpecker, or pileated woodpecker, however you want to pronounce it. Yeah. I do have acres of woods behind me, and they like acres. And so I never can get them, I've tried to attract them to a feeder, or even bird bath. I've never seen one, but I see them flying around. This is the largest woodpecker we have in the area, and it looks very similar to the famous ivory-billed woodpecker, which I wrote a whole book about, which is the ghost bird of the South, and the two can be confused because both live in the swamps. We never had Ivorybills here. So that is a male, red mustache of a male. And the female has a black mustache. So that is a male and female pileated woodpecker. It's the largest one we have here. You may have them, but a little deeper into the woods.
How big is it? Oh my.
It's big, they're large. And the ivory bill was just a little bit bigger, with a monster ivory bill. For some reason, that bird is well named. Anyway,
You do their calls.
and excuse me,
You do their calls.
which one?
Bill did.
You're on the hook now, bud.
Yeah.
Because we know the female.
I've been asked to do the call of a pileated woodpecker. The books will tell you that the laugh of Woody Woodpecker comes from that bird. You'll hear it.
Oh,
Anyway, here's our last woodpecker. This is the one that may come to your feeder, may come to a suet, but these are ground feeders. They're on the ground, they eat ants. Yay! They bounce around your property, and if they find an ant eater or an ant hill, they'll use that woodpecker bill to scrape it up, and the ants are flying everywhere, and they eat the ants. They eat the ants, they use that long hairy woodpecker tongue, just stick down there and eat the baby ants and the eggs. This is a bird you want if you got ants. You don't need pesticides, you just need a flicker. So that's northern flicker.
They also come to bird baths really frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
I do see them more so in the winter with my heated bird bath. And finally, I had to throw in, last but not least, one bird of prey. This is my younger brother when he works at Ives. And that is an eastern screech owl. That's red face. They actually come in two different colors. But if you've got this is one owl you can put up a screech owl box, which is like a bluebird box on steroids. It's much bigger. And if you do have woods and you think you've got, and this is the time of year you may hear them, because this is the time of year mom and dad keep their turf. And so, in late summer, if the young ones don't leave on their own, mom and dad, time for college. And so a young screech owl may come to your backyard and softly call, wondering if it's being claimed by another screech owl. So it's possible you'll hear that. And if it'll get more vulgar if it's not answered, then no other screech owls claim your property. So you may have a screech owl that wants to hang out around you. If you put up a screech owl box, that'll encourage, because they're active at night, obviously, they're owls, and they're fairly common. They're hard to count because they're active to really know a population, because they're active at night and they want a place to hide. They'll hide in a hollow tree or a box. So you can put up a screech owl box if you think you might have them. So that's a red phase. That was little Stephen Lynn before he became a gray phase, and this is a gray phase screech owl. Both of those are eyes. So we have, in the south, we have more red ones than gray ones, but we have both. And in further north, there's more gray ones and red ones. But these are the two smallish owl, about the size of a canicle collar. They're adorable. So if you think you're hearing them, if you think you might have them, a screech owl box, and if you do, put it up in a tree 20 feet, 50 or 30, 20, 30 feet, I think. Find a teenager to do that. To put the box up in the tree, but you want to put it someplace you can watch it. Don't hide it where you can't see it. You want it to be in the woods a little bit, but you want to be able to look out and see if that little screech owl face is looking out at night, getting ready to be mobile. And I think we're done.